Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive paradigm shift in how we manage complex projects and govern teams. We're going to be looking really closely at a framework known as the Diamond process cycle. Look, if you've ever felt like your team's true potential is just being bottlenecked by the exact systems meant to support it, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get right into it.
So let's tackle a really frustrating reality right out of the gate. Capable people with genuine desires to collaborate still break down under pressure. It's a paradox pretty much every project team encounters eventually, right? You start a project, you've got brilliant minds, a shared goal, and yet, somehow, things still manage to go completely off the rails. So what's actually happening here?
Well, the truth is, good intentions just aren't enough. When deadlines tighten up, information fractures, assumptions start multiplying, and those hard-earned lessons, they're forgotten almost instantly. The problem is rarely a lack of intelligence on your team. Usually, it's the complete absence of a repeatable rhythm to help teams coordinate action and genuinely learn from their experiences. Let's be real, collaboration doesn't just sustain itself on willpower. I don't care how many trust falls you do at the annual corporate retreat.
To really understand why this happens, we need to talk about the outdated pyramid structure. See, the real culprit isn't your talent pool. It's the outdated industrial-era architecture we're still using to organize our work. We're out here trying to force modern, hyper-complex projects into these linear sequences of plan, execute, control. And sure, that worked fine back when environments were stable and change was super predictable. But today, we are operating in a highly volatile environment. Our projects demand continuous feedback and adaptation, not just a rigid straight line from A to B.
And operating through those rigid, top-down chains of command in such complex environments comes at a really steep price. Traditional governance structures tend to reward compliance over reflection, measuring outputs while totally ignoring the relationships making those outputs possible in the first place. The result? You get repeated mistakes, you get defensive behavior, accountability completely fractures, and you end up with a graveyard of lessons learned that were jotted down on a spreadsheet but never actually embedded into how the team works.
Systems scientist Peter Senge hit the nail on the head when he said we need learning organizations. Yet so many of our project environments operate strictly as delivery systems. They completely ignore the need for collective improvement, creating this massive gap between what teams conceptually know and what they can actually execute together.
So, how do we move from rigid control to a living cadence of coordination? Enter the Diamond. Check out how this alternative geometry for governance works. Notice how it moves completely away from that single, concentrated apex of authority at the top. Instead, it distributes attention across multiple dimensions of reality. You've got our physical environment and accountability at the base, politics and awareness at the top, economics and anticipation to the right, and social adaptability over on the left. In practical terms, it's bringing your daily stand-ups, your budgets, your team dynamics, and your goals into one cohesive view.
If you look at it from above, it's such a profound shift. By literally just taking that traditional organizational square and rotating it 45 degrees, we create a completely balanced field. We're no longer organized around a single line of command. In this geometry, relational intelligence, trust, dialogue, participation, learning, it all freely circulates through the whole system. Instead of waiting for some manager at the very top to solve a problem, leadership and responsibility can just naturally emerge wherever they're needed.
Now, let's break down what this living cadence looks like with the 8 stages of practice.
Here's your 30,000-foot view. You can see how the model connects these stages in a clean, continuous loop. It's not just a step-by-step process, it's a systematic architecture for actually practicing collaboration. Every single action produces an outcome, sure, but it also produces a guaranteed opportunity for learning. The cycle kicks off in a way you're probably used to. These first 5 steps are your foundational execution stages. You move from defining the task into planning to get your resources straight, through development to refined ideas, to implementation where the rubber meets the road, and finally to assessment where you measure the results. And honestly, this is exactly where most project management models check the box and walk away.
But right here is the crucial pivot. The Diamond demands we push way past mere assessment and step into these transformative growth stages. It demands reflection, extracting practical lessons, and ultimately building character. This is where the magic happens, folks. The cycle recognizes that just measuring what happened isn't enough. You've got to understand exactly why it happened. Philosopher Donald Schoen famously called this reflective practice. He highlighted that technical expertise alone simply doesn't cut it in complex environments. We have to develop the capacity to examine our assumptions, learn from our outcomes, and adapt our behavior. That reflection stage, it carves out the dedicated space for this vital learning to actually happen, both during the experience and after the dust settles.
This entirely changes what we should expect to get out of our work cycles, moving us way beyond just better outcomes.
Think about it. While traditional models focus purely on delivering a better product at the end of the line, the Diamond model has a dual mandate. It seeks better outcomes, yes, but right alongside the development of better people. The core belief is that repeated participation in these healthy work cycles naturally develops judgment, responsibility, and professional maturity.
Watch how this loop compounds in practice during those final stages. We assess what happened with our data, then we reflect to create real understanding around that data. Next, we extract those insights into actionable, practical lessons, and finally, we use that continuous practice to shape our professional integrity and judgment, our character, over time. It's a literal compounding loop of team improvement.
To actually bring this to life, we have to adopt a totally new governance rhythm.
This is a massive mindset shift. People hear governance and immediately think of pure top-down control. But in the Diamond model, governance isn't about authority at all. It's about establishing a rhythm that connects accountability directly with learning. It's the design of repeatable conditions. This is what ensures relational intelligence moves from just being a nice corporate buzzword to a daily, practiced habit.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative challenge. We know technical expertise alone isn't enough to navigate today's rapid pace of change. When you start your very next cycle of work, are you going to settle for just delivering a result, or will you design a governance rhythm to leave your people better, more capable, and more adaptable than they were before? Thanks for exploring the Diamond process cycle with me today. Go use it to build better outcomes and better teams.